Good morning, good morning. Happy Friday to each and every one of you. I wanted to share some information with you. Some of you may know and some may not. And for the ones that don't know, it is good to always share information. Now, I want to talk about the civil union versus marriage because a lot of people may not know that are not married, that might be contemplating getting married, the difference between civil union versus marriage. Now, we understand that a lot of people that uh, chose to enter into a alternative lifestyle, such as the same-sex relationships, they had actually started to do a civil union, which is really not common too much anymore now that same-sex marriage has become federally, federal law. So it's not as common or popular anymore. But however, civil unions are not just for alternative lifestyles such as same-sex couples. It's also for people that may be contemplating getting married, but they're just not sure, and they might be a little confused or a whole bunch of confused about what should they do. Should they have a civil union, or should they actually get married? So I wanted to go over some options in deciding to be tied together under the law. So what can you do and what is the difference? Now, my stance, and I'm going to be honest, my stance is on, being married. That is my stance. But however, there's a lot of different options for people and out here on what they can do besides a civil union or marriage. There are people that are just living together. Cohabitation is the proper term for it, and I will do a video on that another time. But they are cohabiting, and they may choose to not get married for financial reasons, and they may also decide they just want to live together to see if they want to get married. So it is different reasons for different people. I am not here to tell you what to do or not to do, nor am I here to judge you. So I want that to be very clear. I'm just basically providing information, and it's up to you to use that information. Now, some of you may be married or have been married before, or you may have children that are thinking of getting married or living cohabiting or same-sex situation, relationship. There is a lot of different things going on. So let's get into this, okay? Thank you so much. Now, before making your partnership official, you might decide to look for other options. Marriage is not the only way to be tied together under the law. The options can be confusing because of the different protections and benefits. It can be hard to choose which option is best for you. Now, matrimonial lawyer Jacqueline Newman has provided some insight to help you and I if you are confused or undecided. Okay, so those are things that we learn as we go along doing research and reading information. So I wanted to bring this all to you and give the proper, give the proper credit where credit is due to the people that have actually provided information. Now, there are a difference between civil unions and marriage. Now, civil unions, like I said, were much popular back before same-sex marriages were legalized in the United States. And, there are a few couples that still use them for financial purposes, like moving into a lower tax bracket or to avoid a stigma because they or their communities might associate that with marriage. When there's a same-sex couple in the community that they reside in, it might be a stigma about that. And some people don't want to have to deal with the stigma of being ostracized, harassed, discriminated against, biased, stereotyped. There's a lot of different reasons why some people that are in same-sex relationships choose a civil union. And even if you're not in a same-sex relationship, you may choose a civil union and you don't want to be part of that, society of marriage. So people choose a civil union. Okay, but they still want to have legal rights. They want to have the same protections of a legal marriage, but not be in, but not get married. So they choose a civil union. And again, I want to be clear, it's not just for same-sex marriage, which that became more common and popular, but it's not just for them, okay? It's not just for that type of lifestyle, because an alternative lifestyle could be two heterosexual individuals living together, cohabiting. So I want to be clear on that, okay? So let's go ahead and look at the difference between let's look at what is a civil union and a marriage, and then we'll look at the difference. Then I'll give you the difference. Now, the civil unions and marriages have similar definitions, right? Marriage is a lawful relationship between two people that provides legal protection to a couple. Marriages provide benefits at the federal and state level. Now, couples in a marriage get many of the same rights in a civil union, along with many other benefits. Now, if a couple is in a civil union, they get inheritance rights, employment benefits, property, parental rights, and more. Because a civil union is a legal relationship between two people that provides legal protection to the couple at the state level. Now, let me say that again. A civil union is a legal relationship between two people that provides legal protection to the couple at the state level. Now, the marriage provides benefits and protections at the state and federal level. Okay. Now, couples in a marriage get many of the same rights as those in a civil union, along with others, such as the ability to file federal taxes jointly and Social Security benefits, okay? Marriages are also recognized by many religions, while civil unions may not be. See, your church or synagogue or even a temple may spiritually recognize your marriage, but not your civil union. Now, let's look at some of the similarities between a civil union and marriage. Couples in civil unions and marriages, like I said, get many of the same benefits, but if one partner dies, the other can inherit their assets. One partner can get access to another's health insurance. And if you've been employed, you will know that was a big issue, that came about in the late 90s, 2000s, where there was a big old issue going on with health insurance. Now, I know some employers that do not provide health insurance because of what their beliefs are as far as their biblical beliefs, and then there are employers that, are mandated under federal and state law to do so, okay? So people in civil unions have the same exact rights when it comes to their kids or children as they would in a marriage. They also have spousal privilege, which means, and this is important to know, is that it means that this spousal privilege means that one partner cannot be forced to testify against another in court. Now, we see this in marriages where a wife or a husband does not have to testify against the other, right? But even in a civil union, the partner does not have to testify against another in court. And that might be something that you might not have known, because I actually did not know that as far as the civil union goes, but I was aware of that as far as a husband and wife in a legal marriage, right? Okay, so that's good information to know. So getting a civil union is also a very similar process to a marriage. You do have to apply for the license, and there are requirements to fulfill, such as being a certain age, are paying a fee. So there are some similarities, because even with getting married and you're, a younger person getting married, they usually have to have consent of their parents unless they are emancipated and can show that they can take care of themselves, independent, and provide for themselves as an emancipated minor. Otherwise, they have to have parental consent to get married. So there are age requirements, and you still have to pay that fee. It's not waived. You have to pay the fee, because everyone knows that if you've been married before or you were contemplating marriage and you looked into it, that there is a fee involved. And now you can have a ceremony to sanctify your civil union just like you can with a marriage. And we've seen it in the past. If you haven't, then you might have been hiding under, a rock, or you just was not, privy to that, or on social media, but it's been, or you don't watch television. Now, I don't watch a lot of television, but I have seen it on television, and also social media, where people have had these big old weddings, and even it's been talked about. Articles have been written up about people getting married, some of these basketball players and celebrities and all this other stuff. So it is out there. So if you don't know, now you know. Okay, so anyway, so you can have that, you can sanctify your civil union just like you can with a marriage, and even the process. Now check this out. Even the process of breaking up a relationship is similar in both partnerships. It's similar. A complaint is filed in family court, just like if you are going through a legal separation, because there's a difference with the legal separation versus a divorce. And so if you're going through a divorce or legal separation, you do need to go to family court. And even in a civil union, you have to go through family court to file your complaint to dissolve, the civil union, or the marriage, as far, in dissolution of marriage, it's a divorce or civil union. So you have to go through family court, and both parties have to negotiate the terms of their dissolution. So it's good if you can do that before getting to family court, to separate and divide up your assets, who gets what and how much of this. And if you can't determine it, you will be in court battling out, like you see a lot of celebrities and rich people in court battling it out. And even some couples that may not be in a category of rich or celebrities or famous, battling it out as well. But we tend to see it more publicized with athletes, celebrities and things like that, or rich people, famous people. We tend to see it more publicized, but you very rarely will see someone that's not a public figure, unless, you barely will see that unless they are recording it and talking about it. But, there's no recording going on in the courtroom at all, or you could be, prosecuted or charged. But, if they come out on social media and talk about their business, then you will be able to hear some of the stories of people that are really not public figures talking about their personal business, and things like that. But however, they have to negotiate the terms of their dissolution, and even go as far as asking the other for alimony. And most people know what alimony is, as far as getting a certain amount of money support each month, for the time that the duration of the time that they were actually in that civil union or in that marriage. And if they can prove that they are entitled to alimony, and there's something called palimony as well, but if they can prove that they are entitled to alimony, the judge may award a certain percentage or dollar sign. And let me just quickly tell you what is alimony and how it works. If you are in the middle of a separation or divorce, you might be thinking a lot about alimony. And the idea behind alimony is simple. Is one partner was relying on the income of their spouse. Maybe they stayed home with the kids while the other person worked. They need a means of financial support after the relationships disintegrates, right? But the logistics can be difficult and hard to navigate. So basically, alimony, let me just give you the actual definition of it, is a court-ordered financial support that a person is ordered to give a former spouse following a separation or divorce. And so that's what alimony is. And since this is not really about alimony, I will not get, into more details about that. If you will, thank you for that and your understanding. Now, let's talk about the differences. Let me provide to you the difference between civil union and marriage. The civil union is not recognized by the federal government. As I stated earlier, not recognized by the federal government. And also, Social Security benefits are not given, Social Security benefits are given in a marriage, but are not necessarily a civil union. So Social Security benefits are given in a marriage, depending on the duration of the marriage, and you must be married 10 years or longer. And also, just so you know, if you have been married 10 years or longer, and say you get a divorce, right? And you've been married 10 years or longer to your previous spouse and you have not remarried. Now, let's make that clear, because I'm going to add this in here, to this, that I'm giving you this information. If you have been married 10 years or longer and you go through a divorce and you do not remarry, you can draw Social Security benefits if you qualify of your previous spouse or ex-spouse. And I'm saying previous because you can get married after the fact once you are able to qualify for Social Security benefits of your former spouse. As long as you do not remarry prior to that, you can qualify. Now, then you can get married after the fact, but if you do so prior to that, then that voids out and you cannot. And let's just say your ex-spouse passes away and you have been married 10 years or longer and your ex-spouse passes away. Do you not know that you can still draw benefits, Social Security benefits, because you are considered a widower, and of the ex-spouse, you are considered a widower, even though you may have divorced, but you have been married 10 years or longer. You can draw their Social Security. And you also, if you are disabled, 50 years of age, you could apply for Social Security benefits. And if approved, you can draw the Social Security benefits at the age of 50 if you are disabled and you were married 10 years or more. And that goes for whether you were still married when your spouse passed away, or if you divorced and they passed away, you can draw that, or former spouse, even if they're still living. So there is, there is laws in place that protect people that for Social Security. There are federal laws in place that protect people in situations like that. But in a civil union, is no protection like that. They do not get Social Security benefits. And I believe I did a video before about that on the Social Security benefits that I put out there, because it's good information to know. It really is. And they say a lot of times that we as Black people don't like to read. And I'm not going to put that on us. Maybe there are many that don't read, but we really should be knowing what our options are and our benefits are. Because you never know when you might be in a situation that you need a little extra help. All right, the fact is if you're entitled to something, why not receive what you're entitled to legally? Not illegal, but legally, okay? And so that's just a little thing I threw in there to let you know about that, being that we're speaking on Social Security benefits, and in a civil union, that's not necessarily true, but in a marriage, it is. Now, if you get married, it is recognized in every state. That's the other thing, the difference between civil unions and marriages is that if you get married, it doesn't matter what state you reside in, your marriage will be recognized. Now, if you are just in a civil union, your marriage is only recognized in the state you receive the certificate in. So please understand that whether you are living that alternative lifestyle, same-sex marriage, or whatever, if you decide to enter into a civil union in, say, Illinois, that your certificate is only going to be recognized in Illinois. But if you move to a different state, Ohio, Colorado, it may not be recognized because it's only recognized in the state that you received the certificate in. And if the two individuals move to another state, they may not get the same state level benefits. That's the other thing. They will not get the same level state benefits. They may not. And then the surviving spouse of a veteran may be eligible for health coverage and survivor benefits if the service member enrolled and pays a monthly premium. This is something that's very important. If you are a veteran, if you are a active duty serviceman and you are retiring and you become now a veteran, and you must enroll if you want your spouse, if something happens to you and you want your spouse to have survivor benefits, you must check the box, yes, enroll in that program, pay into it in order for your spouse to have support, financial support if you pass away. If you do not enroll in that, if you do not check that box and enroll in the survivor benefits program, then your spouse will not, your widow or spouse will not, will not be able to receive those benefits. And that's the surviving spouse of a veteran. As far as the survivor benefits, and they may be entitled to health coverage depending on how long they were married. That health coverage they can be entitled to provide. And another thing, it goes back to, I believe you cannot remarry in order to get those benefits. If you remarry, this is the thing right here. If you remarry as a surviving spouse, your benefits stop. And that's why I've talked to other surviving spouses of military veterans, and they will not remarry for that reason, because they will lose their, previous husband, the husband's benefits, and so they don't choose to remarry. Some do, some don't. And if it doesn't affect you, hey, that's good and dandy. But for some people, it is a big risk, and it affects them to an extent that they choose not to. But you will not receive those benefits, the surviving spouse of a veteran, but you will not receive those benefits if you are in a civil union with a veteran. You will not receive those benefits. And then, as I was saying, you will only get protection from the state level, assuming you live in a state that recognizes civil unions. So if you are in a civil union, you will only get protection from the state level, assuming you live in a state that recognizes civil unions, okay? Now, determining what is best for you, because it's always important to determine what is best for you, even if your family or members don't agree with your lifestyle. You still have to determine, if you are an adult taking care of yourself, paying your own bills. I want to say that because sometimes people want to do what they want to do and they living under somebody else's roof, and other people have rules and regulations or whatever they have, that they don't want to go on under their own roof. So if you are an adult and you are in your own house, whether it's a townhouse, condo, apartment, or a home, and you are living on your own providing for yourself, it is important to understand and determine what is best for you. And I'm not here to tell people to go against their family and parents and whatever. All I'm saying is, if you are an adult, you have to determine what is best for you. And hopefully from you determining what is best for you by sitting down, especially if you have conflict with your family and what you want to do and how you want to live your life, and they may have different standards or values, on what they perceive they want for you. It's always good to keep the lines of communication open. Be very clear on what you believe is best for you. Sit down and talk about it without yelling, without arguing, without fighting, bickering. Nothing should lead to fist fights and murders, because we are seeing a lot of people using guns to, unalive people, to murder people, to kill people, because they cannot resolve issues by talking about it. And if you get that uptight, please walk away. like I was sharing in a video yesterday, I witnessed a fight at a park for no reason, and it was a basketball game, but I think it was more about some money that the person owed to someone else's family member, and that person wanted to bluff, sell wolf tickets and bully people because that person was in the wrong. And we see that a lot too, where somebody is in the wrong and they come out wanting to murder people, want to fight, want to kill. I'm gonna beat you up. I'm gonna beat the you know what out of you. And we've seen that on social media. We've witnessed it. We've heard it, where people are in the wrong, individuals, and then they want to, threaten people because they've been exposed, because they know they are in the wrong. And so again, determining what is best for you. Let me get back onto this, what is best for you. And it's always good, like I said, to have a conversation about what is best for you, even if someone else or family don't. So let's get into that. Civil unions, they rarely happen, but it's a way to get around it since it was not federally recognized. When it comes to, being federally recognized, and it wasn't, that's the way they got around it by having a civil union. It was not a marriage, but a civil union. And they are, like I said earlier in this, presentation, they are less popular and less common since same-sex marriages are recognized federally. But again, civil unions don't have to just be same-sex marriages. It can be people, heterosexual couples that want to cohabitate, and they want to be together, and they just don't want the society, of marriage pressures or stigma, or they want to see if it's going to work out, if they want to be there long term. That's up to them. That's up to them. I know that a lot of parents frown upon that, because you might walk away with less benefits and protections when it comes to, a legal marriage. But, people do what they do these days. We can't stop that, but we can only provide information and hope the best for the decisions that people make for themselves. And then they have to understand that there may be consequences based on their decisions. And as long as they know the pros and cons, of that, then hey, and they're adults taking care of themselves and providing, then that's up to them. But getting back to this, only 5 states allow civil unions. That's Colorado, Hawaii, Illinois, Vermont, and New Jersey. Now, you may not be able to get on if you don't live in any of those states by default, so you may not be able to get those benefits, And then domestic partnership is an option if you still do not want to get married. Domestic partnership is another option. And then civil unions can be beneficial in 2 circumstances. Civil unions can be beneficial in 2 circumstances. You don't believe in marriage. That's one of them. I don't believe in marriage. You say, I don't believe in marriage. I just think it's a piece of paper, and it's not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a piece of paper that can be ripped up. But if you get married, even if you rip up that paper, you are still legally married. If it's been, you've received a license and it's been submitted to the courts, and it is filed in the court system, then you are still married, whether you tear up that marriage license or certificate or not. So you might not believe in marriage, but don't do it, because even if you get married and tear up the paper, you are still legally married until you get a divorce. Okay. So or you don't like the ideal of getting married, because some people don't like the idea of spending a whole bunch of money, and some people say, well, they spent a whole bunch of money just to get a divorce, or my parents got married and then they divorced, and so it didn't last, and I don't believe in marriage. There's a lot of reasons why people don't believe in marriage. That's up to them. But and people experience things in different ways. People experience things and they go through different things, and no one can tell their story but them, right? And so but they might still want many of the same legal protections, even though they don't believe in marriage. They want to be together and they want to have kids, but they don't want the title or societal pressure of being married. So they enter into a civil union. And then the other reason is, if you don't want to be recognized as legally married by the federal government because of tax purposes, this would be the people who fall into the category where it costs more money to file jointly. And then that means you don't have to file your federal taxes as a married couple. You can file your state taxes as married and not your federal taxes if you have a marriage tax penalty. And so those are some things, that, that we can always share with others, and just be even more aware of what we might not have known about the difference between a civil union, and marriage. And then I want to just give you the domestic partnership, what domestic partnership is, since I brought it up because domestic partnership is an option if you still do not want to get married. So just to piggyback off of that, a domestic partnership is a legal relationship usually between couples who live together and share a common domestic life but are not married. People in domestic partnerships receive benefits that guarantee right of survivorship, hospital visitation, and other rights. And one of the things that I remember about that is some family members did not want the domestic partner, to come up to the hospital, when their partner was ill in the hospital, or they might have been, close to death or whatnot. And so they fought for that. That is something that the domestic partner fought for them to have, hospital visitations. If you recall that, if you remember this whole thing about, benefits when it came to same-sex or partnership, heterosexual, just in a partnership and not a marriage. And we see that happen a lot to this day, where people have lived together or living together at the time of their partner's death. And it doesn't matter if you are in a heterosexual or same-sex relationship. We see that a lot, where families start fighting the partner, I would say the girlfriend, the live-in girlfriend, or the live-in boyfriend. They start fighting one another over property and who has a right to this, to inherit this, and the rightful heir to this and that. And the person that's living with the partner might say, no, you don't, because I've been here taking care of this person, paying for this, paying for that, and now you all want to come in and try to take the house from me. There is a lot that goes on with that. And so that they went and they fought for these things. And see, and so in certain interjurisdictional, it could cause some confusion. And so in certain jurisdictions such as Australia, New Zealand, and the U.S. states of California, Maine, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington use the term domestic partnership to mean what other jurisdictions call civil union, civil partnership, or registered partnership. And so a civil union, you have to, again, obtain a license, pay fees, meet certain age qualifications. So it is registered with the court. So civil union, registered partnership, it all, it ties in, and it makes sense. A civil union makes sense if you use another term as registered partnership. And then in other jurisdictions, use the terms as it was originally coined to mean an interpersonal status created by local, municipal, and county governments, which provides an extremely limited range of rights and responsibilities. And then some legislators have voluntarily established domestic partnership relations by statute instead of being ordered to do so by a court, although some jurisdictions have instituted domestic partnerships as a way to recognize same-sex marriage. Statutes do exist which provides for recognition of opposite-sex domestic partnerships in many jurisdictions. Now, in some legal jurisdictions, domestic partners who live together for an extended period of time but are not legally entitled to common law marriage may be entitled to legal protection in the form of a domestic partnership. Some domestic partners may enter into non-marital relationship contracts in order to agree either verbally or in writing to issues involving property ownership, support obligations, and similar issues common to marriage. And I have a friend, that her spouse went through he had children, and her spouse's father passed away, and he was in a domestic partnership. And so the partner, once her partner passed away, he had children, and they had the rightful heir to his estate, and he had plenty of assets and money as well. And so she tried to take all of it, and she actually hid some property and transferred property. I mean, people do a lot of dirty stuff, especially when it comes to people's children. And so the judge actually said, nah, he put a halt on it. He made sure that the children got what their share of the money. She did get some stuff, and she got quite a bit more than what somebody else might have received, because she was able to prove that they had been together and she had established health insurance for him. And that was one of the things that she did, is establish health insurance, and she was able to prove it with receipts, and the fact that she, did that and was taking care of him and things like that. And so therefore she was able to establish that. And so the judge did award her, she got the house, and she did get some a percentage of the money, but there was other stuff she did, because there was money he had in the safe and she took the money. It was a lot of them stole the money, but the children did get a decent amount of money. His children did, and he had quite a few children by different women, but they did get quite a bit. They got quite a bit. It wasn't like $1,000 or $2,000, anything like that. It was over 45,000 or something like that, and I believe less than 55,000. So somewhere in between that, they got a nice little piece of change for them. And so the thing is, we have to be very careful about that. But getting back to this, some domestic partners may enter into non-marital relationship contracts in order to agree, and that goes on, like I said, either verbally or in writing, to issues involving property ownership, support obligations, and similar issues common to marriage. Beyond agreements, registration of relationship in domestic partnership registries allow for the jurisdiction to formally acknowledge domestic partnerships as valid relationships with limited rights. And so I just want to give you a little insight on that. What domestic partnership, it is an option if you still do not want to get married. And there's a lot of young people that some are still getting married, and there's a lot that are not. And there's a lot of young people that are waiting in their 30s to get married because they want to finish their college education, get a good job, be financially stable, and things like that, maybe have money saved up. And then, and so they are waiting. And then you have a lot of couples that do live together for financial reasons, and they say they want to be together. But a lot of times, in that case, and we'll get to a video on that, so I guess I won't talk about that, because there is some reasons that might not be beneficial, just because you think that you want to live together and get to know someone. But you know what? When you do that on a regular basis, you realize that you become less of a committed person, because there's alternatives and options out there. And we will talk about that in another video. But I want to thank you all for tuning in to this. I hope you will share this information with someone. Maybe you have children, adult children, that are contemplating or living together, and you can share this information with them. Again, it's not here to tell anyone how to live their life, but I want to bring information that can help us all to grow, because you know what, we are going to constantly be dealing with the junk experience that I talked about yesterday. And I think that if we want to move towards a little more healthier things, we can all see the bad things that happen out here, but what are some of the good things, and what can we do to obtain knowledge to help our community make better decisions on what is best for us? So God bless you all on that. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to stick with the 6 weeks. With that, get your exercise in, whatever your mode of exercising. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and to check out my jewelry. Oh, it's StandupBcounted Jewelry. Valentine's Day is right around the corner. And please, please, please take a look. If you are interested in something, you men that do follow my channel, I am definitely working on some other pieces to upload. And if you want to, you're interested in that, let me know. Reach out to me, direct message me. I truly appreciate you all. Thank you all. Have a blessed day.